like organization right now. Like it's everywhere. Everything is everywhere, and being content with not having control
Yeah.
over
Control.
everything.
I literally typed that today in my
Girl.
status on Facebook. Welcome to another episode of Unpacking Motherhood, where we just talk about all things mom and sharing our life stories and our experiences. And we hope to inspire moms and make you feel seen and heard and loved. And just take a minute. I feel like y'all got tension in your shoulders right now watching this. You're like, oh, I'm looking for a solution. Take a second. Take a breath.
I feel like he was talking
Let's
to me.
all do
right,
it.
'cause
Let's take a breath in. Exhale.
She's talking
And we're
about
just
me.
going to chat for a second. So today's episode is just the hardest part about motherhood. Like, what are the hard parts? And I think we all experienced that today,
Yes.
just like getting here for today's episode. It was hard. And one of the things that I thought about, like for me, even now, like being here, I'm thinking about my child. Like, is she okay with her milk? Like, being a mom, I feel like I always have a never-ending like list in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
It's always something that I have to get done. I'm thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about next week.
Yes.
I'm thinking about my child. You know, if she's not feeling well, like I
Girl,
hope
yeah.
she's okay. Like like all the things. And it's one of those things where I don't feel like I can be at rest. You know.
Yeah, definitely get that.
So, what are some of the things that you guys find hard about motherhood? What's one of your challenges? You know, I just became a mom of two, but I feel like sometimes people, like you guys have
Yeah.
multiple kids and they feel like, oh, it should be easy for you by
Right.
now.
You should
By
already
now,
have all
yeah.
of it together.
You have it all together, but I know that's a fallacy, so.
Negative. Correct.
Right.
So mine would probably be like organization right now. Like it's everywhere. Everything is everywhere, and being content with not having control
Yeah.
over everything.
I literally typed that today in my
Girl.
status on Facebook.
Listen, my status yesterday was just keep swimming.
Right.
Just, and if you're a mama, you know you didn't watch Finding Nemo. Okay.
What do we do? We swim, swim.
Just keep swimming, okay? And that's where I am. You know, being pregnant with our six and having all of the boys who constantly want to do things. It's like, okay, Kia, you have to make time to prioritize and organize and just make that time for everything.
And making time sounds easy. Like, we have all the solutions, and it's not, I mean, you're a smart woman. You know,
Girl.
you're brilliant. Like, how do I make time? What does that even look like?
What does that look like?
Because there's so many other variables. When you do make time, like, sometimes you feel like you're throwing a monkey wrench. Sometimes
Exactly.
by the minute, not even daily, like by the minute. It's like, I'm organized, but
Girl.
Yes. Yes. People
Yeah,
are like,
so-
so what do you have going on today? And you know, I tell people,
bruh,
I live the life of a paramedic. I do not know how my days are going to unfold. All I know is I got this shift.
right.
What's going to happen in it, I do not know.
Exactly.
I can plan as much as I can, but yeah, right.
And don't know who gonna dial 911.
Yeah, be like it's to the point where I tell people, because y'all know I'm a texter, right? I prefer to text, and I'm like, text me that again, so I don't open it. So when I do sit down, I can go back and read it. Because if I open it while I'm pew pew pew, you won't hear from me anymore.
Forget
And
about
it's
it.
not intentional. Like I just
that.
things happen, and
Exactly.
you're like
Yeah.
just all over the place. I want to say, what was that? What was that on Up? It was like squirrel. Was it Up? Was that the movie?
No idea.
It was Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it caught your attention and it's over. Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
on to something else.
Girl.
Like you mentioned, preparing to get here to this point itself is a lot. Like
Yeah.
super. Whew. And then you're trying to organize, right? To keep things together, keep your house together.
Right.
And then you're trying to organize yourself to prepare for production, if I'm using the right word.
Yes.
And it's just like you're all over the place. So, yeah, I get it totally.
Yeah.
And it's not enough hours in the day.
No.
It's just
I feel
not.
like one of the things that I find even hard just about, planning, and then the monkey wrench comes in. You said something like when you sit down, you don't mean to not respond. Sometimes I don't have the bandwidth to respond.
Right.
Like, even if I remember, I look at text and I'm like, bro, and then I want to have a 10-minute conversation via text.
Exactly. That part.
And, or a phone conversation. I was supposed to be calling someone today now that I think about it.
I don't like phone calls. I don't feel like
I
it.
had 2 phone calls. I think that was enough. I couldn't do more. And she's probably like, why didn't you call me? And it's funny because I feel like, I think it's another part about motherhood that's tough is when other mothers don't understand that. Like when they get offended because you're not at their every beck and call. Especially the doulas. It's like, and you're a multi-birthing person. Even if you're a mom, you're not giving birth soon. I feel like, and maybe I'm like kind of going into something else. I feel like, especially some of the old school moms just kind of expect for you to just kind of like grin and bear through it and push and plow through every single day. And it's like,
because they
I'm honoring my mental
gonna
health.
say.
Like I don't have the bandwidth to do it.
Right.
I don't
Girl,
have the
but we
bandwidth.
did it back in the day. You know,
Yeah.
And you
we
were
had
miserable.
Exactly.
You were miserable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true,
Exactly.
And you didn't even know how to register that. Like you didn't even realize that you were miserable as hell.
Exactly. And your kids didn't have you. They didn't have the full you. You
Yeah.
couldn't give that attention like you needed to because you were doing A, B, C, D, and E, F, G, all the other alphabets. Okay. So here we are.
Imploding.
Okay.
One thing that I know you said one time I kind of want to talk about. We talk about a lot of stuff offline. How the difficult parts of motherhood is how people expect for us to work like we don't have children,
And then raise our children like we don't
have to
work.
Right.
Like
Right.
That expectation is just unfair.
And it's such a quiet expectation. Nobody is actually saying that out loud.
Yeah.
But the pressure is there and it's thick. Like all around you. Like if you work a 9 to 5, your company expects you to be straight in 40 days.
Yes.
And then they have a problem with you taking that. Right?
Oh yeah.
You know, that 6 weeks when I say 40 days.
Yeah.
41 days. And then you come home, you only have a few hours. And then your family, you could fall down the stairs and break your neck and your child was like, can you peel my orange?
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, I'm sitting here crying. And you, okay, got it. Nobody, like, it really feels like, just being honest, it really feels like nobody cares about what you have going on. And let's be honest, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of, you have to figure out how to cope with that and move over those mental hurdles because stuff still needs to get done. Like the wheels are still turning in your house
Exactly.
or in your home or in your life.
Yeah.
And as doulas, like our clients need us too, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like no matter what, there's always this quiet expectation that we're supposed to be super efficient.
Right.
Like we don't even really get a chance to have a bad day.
Yeah.
And if we have one and we talk about it out loud, it's kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
why you?
And I feel like that's the hard thing about motherhood. Everybody's quiet expectations. I know that was the original question. Everybody's
Yeah.
quiet expectations of us, especially of us. People think we are just like these shiny people
Yeah. We're superheroes.
that have it all together.
No.
But I think another thing that's hard about motherhood is social media.
Yeah.
Social
Yes,
media just
definitely.
makes it strange because there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, there's a lot wrong with social media.
Yeah.
Let me
That's
back
a lot.
that- Yeah, let me back that up. There's a lot wrong with
Yeah.
social But people, what I'm trying to say is there's nothing wrong with what most people are doing. They're just showing their highlights. You shouldn't put all your business out there.
Yes.
You shouldn't share every single thing. Like, you remember that girl that was like, I'm on the toilet. Dum, dum, dum. Yeah,
Right.
no, you
Yeah.
ain't got to do all of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are just showing their highlights. And where we are in these times, like everybody sees the product and not the process. And so people think that everything you show is all it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not. And so here we are because you see me spitting out little health facts.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see me cooking something without meat. Now you want me to be your dietitian via inbox.
Right.
Hey, real quick.
Or you
just
want
tell
me, or you want me to be
Right
your
quick.
doula
Just real quick, please.
for free in the inbox. Like you have a list of questions you want me to answer. First of all, I don't have time to do that, and you got to pay me. But I think people see the shiny
good.
parts, and they think that's
good.
all we are, and so they have this expectation like that's how we are all the time. You know.
And that's listen, prime example, transparency moment. I text you guys the other day because I had childcare lined up and
Oh, yeah.
it didn't pull through, and like you said, like it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to even cry as a mom because I'm like, I'm not looking for sympathy.
Right.
First of all, I don't like to cry because when I'm crying, it feels like I'm out of control.
Yeah.
Back to that control factor.
Yeah.
But like my childcare had fallen through. You know, was. Now I'm gonna make this point later. Like Lee had to work. He's like, I can't get off work, and then he had someone else come and meet. I just didn't want to show up to the hair salon or have to cancel my appointment again. And like I pulled up to the salon, like I made it to the salon, and I just bawled my eyes out. Like right before I went in, I just had to release it. I guess I had to release it because I'm like, I'm trying so hard to make this happen, and I'm trying so hard to just do something simple like
And it's just to
take
get
a
your
shower.
hair
Right.
done.
Yeah,
The simple
even to take a
things.
shower.
Yeah.
Sometimes you use the toilet in the middle of the night because my kid is attached to my boob all night. Like I literally, it's like it's so taxing, and I don't think people really understand the weight of that. And like, yes, I have a lot of things together, but there are some things that I don't have together. And like, if you're gonna ask me if I'm okay, like, and if I say no, please come and step in. Shout out to Brittany Bomar. I put up a status.
Love you, Brittany.
Yes.
One day I was very overwhelmed, and she was like, "Girl, call me." She showed up and watched Knowing Me for me for like a few hours while
Brittany
I
is
just cleaned up.
amazing.
She is.
She
She's
is
sweetheart.
awesome.
And you need people like that, you know, to not just see you like, oh, you got this. No, I don't. I
Right.
don't have this.
I can't stand when people say, you got this, high five. Did y'all see that meme where like the woman was drowning and she was like, help me? And people were saying, you got this, and gave her a high five when only her hand was sticking out the water and she went on under.
Yeah. That's how
That's what
postpartum
this shit
is.
is like.
Exactly.
That's how motherhood is.
Exactly. Motherhood for real.
This is how we
Seriously.
feel probably.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having these type of conversations because when you talk like this too, again, it's the quiet expectations. You're judged like you're not supposed to feel this way.
Right.
And again, I think that's a whole conditioning thing. We, as Black people in our community, struggle is the norm. Damn near drowning is the norm. Like barely keeping your head above water is fine.
Yes.
And it's hard to live like that constantly. Also dealing with all three of us are in early postpartum.
Yep.
And we're headed back into the beginning of it here.
Yes.
So it's like
song
you
that
have
never
to
ends.
consider you have to consider that too on top of what people feel like should be normal for us.
Right.
You know. And then people also think because we married, like we got it good.
Yeah.
And not saying we don't. We
Yes.
all, I can honestly say everybody at this table has a great husband.
We all
And I
have
don't
a
even
great
live with
husband.
y'all. But I'm just saying, like, people think, oh, well, you got a husband. You shouldn't be complaining. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You shouldn't have to, you know, like, I get that.
They need
Right.
support
A lot.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need support too.
Yeah.
Like the family needs support. And
Yeah.
it's not
The
just
whole
us.
unit.
The whole unit.
Yes.
The whole unit. It has to be healthy. Because
Yes.
if not, then we all drowning. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think I say that in one of our other episodes. Like we cannot pour from an empty cup.
No.
And that's from both sides. Like the husband can't pour from an empty cup,
Yeah.
and the wife can't pour from an empty cup. A mom cannot pour from an empty cup because what do you have to give?
That is what we're used to doing, though.
Exactly.
A lot of us are doing that. And so I think what we also have to understand, the hard part about motherhood is not understanding that our motherhood is our children's childhood.
Exactly.
And
That's
while we
another-
might get a second run at it because we're having another child, but you don't get a second run at it with this
That
child.
child.
Yeah.
This child will never be that
Yes.
same age again. They will change tomorrow. They're going to hit another milestone. That's why I think I mentioned earlier, you know, everybody's experiences can be different.
Yep. In the household, yeah.
Yeah.
And it usually is. And that can be the cause for a lot of resentment between siblings as they get older because the parent may have evolved a little bit more and one child got a better version of that parent.
Yes.
Or that parent just understands something new now.
Listen.
Right.
You know, but it looks completely different to the child. So our windows of motherhood is actually our child's childhood. While it's time that neither one of us can get back, they truly can't get it back. And that's a
Exactly.
quiet pressure on us too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't wanna
I feel like that's why moms get so
Exactly.
emotional,
Yeah.
like when a child hits a milestone, or even though breastfeeding is extremely hard on all of us, we still get emotional when it's time to end it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All of that. So there's a lot of answers to that question. What's
It
the
is.
hardest part about motherhood?
What is
It's a
the
lot.
hardest part? Exactly.
It's not a
So-
hardest part.
Yeah.
It's all hard.
It is.
What's as we like kind of think about I'm gonna leave the our moms with something that they can kind of chew on and take with them until the next episode, what is like a piece of advice that you would give them concerning the hard parts of motherhood? What can they take with them? What can they chew on?
I will say, and I think I've said this to y'all because we're friends in real life.
Right.
It's temporary.
Yes.
It's temporary. Whatever hump you're trying to get over is temporary. Sometimes I'm crying and saying that to myself, like, this phase is not going to last forever. The time has to pass. So you have no choice but to get to the end of it. But how are you going to go through it?
Yeah.
You know, it's temporary. Whatever it is, whatever pivot you're taking, whatever milestone you're hitting, whatever window of sleep deprivation you are swimming knee deep in, it is temporary. And you have to remind yourself of that to also keep your perspective in check as to how you are handling it and coping with it. Because however you cope with it is how you're modeling it for your children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the other side of saying to yourself it's temporary, that helps you understand that there's truly light at the end of that, what seems to be a narrow, dark tunnel.
Real good.
Not tunnel.
Yeah.
But I say that to myself quite often.
Seasons always change.
They do.
They do.
They do. They do.
What you got here?
For me, it kind of piggybacks off of what Stormy said. It would be to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
It's okay not to get it right all the time. It's okay to feel how you feel. But again, are we going to stay there, or are we going to pick ourselves up and continue that race? Because again, like Stormy said, it's not just for us, but it is for our kids. They need to see us whole and healthy. They need to see us when we're down, and they're looking at how we deal with the downs. And if they can say and look back on it, yeah, I saw my mom cry sometimes. Yeah, you know, I saw her frustrated. But at the end of the day, you know, she got up, she did what she had to do. And I know it wasn't easy, but she made a way. She made a way.
She made it happen.
So give yourself grace.
I'd like to piggyback on that. That's why I am like, I'm just saying, that's why I'm not too quick to go in a corner and cry anymore. If I cry, I just go ahead and cry in front of my children.
Yes.
And they're like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, I'm just a little overwhelmed, but this is just how I'm going to get through it. Just give me a minute.
Exactly.
I used to go in a corner and cry. Shower crying is my jam. Okay, I
Yes.
get it.
Not me.
Yes. Today. Okay.
Yeah,
Listen.
you know, but if it's coming up, you know how you swallow the frog in your throat to like do it somewhere else when you're alone.
Yeah.
Like if it gets so thick, and I let it roll.
Yeah.
And if they
I gotta
ask me, "Am I
practice
okay? What's wrong?" I tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not saying that it's a difference between raising daughters and sons. It actually is, but as the mom, the responsibility is a lot heavier for when it comes to raising your daughters.
Yes.
So my mama is not an emotional person. Mom loves to laugh, all of that, but I can't even count on one hand how often I see her cry. And my mom has lost a lot, and we've been through a lot, and I still never seen her cry much. And so I try to just not hold back.
Yeah.
When you say it's okay to cry, it is. And if you got to cry and your child is right there with their runny nose looking at you, let it roll. And if they say what's wrong, tell them what's wrong and tell them it's going to be fine. I just have to get through it.
I have a funny story about your girls, Sadie.
My girls?
No, my girls.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is why you do want to cry in front of your kids, because like the first time I had like a panic attack, like literal like panic attack while pregnant with Noemi, and I was crying, Sadie bursted out laughing. She thought it was so funny that I was crying. She was like, adults don't cry.
I would have cried harder.
Right.
I would have been like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
She was like, big people don't cry.
Excuse
I
me.
think I would have
She
cried
thought
more.
it was hilarious, and I was like full on like having contractions and everything.
Bless.
Crying,
no.
like bawling my eyes
She
out.
said big people don't cry.
Right.
She thought it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, Sadie.
Now, what did you do? Because honestly,
I busted
I'm
out
already
laugh-
sensitive. I would have cried more.
I would have cried.
I
Yeah.
bursted out laughing because it was such an awkward moment.
Okay.
That's how I am in some film. Like when I'm watching films and it's all serious, sometimes I just burst out laughing because I'm like, that was so deep.
Yeah.
So she probably
That
got
was
it from
so
me.
deep.
But and Lee was actually there, and both of us, I started laughing, and Lee started laughing because we were like, that was not an appropriate response.
Yeah.
To this situation.
Way to read the
Right.
room, Sadie.
Exactly. You knocked it, girl. You
Yeah,
knocked it right
She
out
did
the
not
park.
care at all. But
gosh.
my advice is
Yes, what is yours?
right. But mine is you know how on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you can phone a friend. So, like, always have that one friend or two friends that you can call and say, hey, I need you to come today.
Yeah.
I need you to come either sit with me. I need you to come and either watch my kids for, like, an hour or two. Or can you bring me some Starbucks? I need a chai tea latte with sugar cookie, cold foam on top.
Okay.
And a chocolate chip cookie in addition to the sugar cookie.
And there's no judgment.
Flavoring.
Okay.
There's no judgment.
No judgment.
I don't care to extra calories. I know you're trying to watch your weight, but whatever, give it to me. That's me. I need a chocolate chip cookie.
I like
Actually,
that. Phone
I'm
a
out there right
friend.
now. Phone a friend. So that would be my advice.
That's good.
My little tidbit, and I think we had a good conversation today.
Yes.
So we'll just leave you guys to chew on that. Thank you for watching our episode, and like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Share it with your tribe. Unpacking Motherhood.
Tag your
is
mama in
here.
this too.
Look, tag your mama. Tell her, hey, we're talking about you. And we hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching.